to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucious, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience.
Yes, sir.
We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Happy season 2, happy season 2, happy season 2. Welcome one, welcome all to another fun episode of Athletics LLC. If you stuck with us this long, kudos to you. But here we go for another year of fun entertainment, banter, and a little bit of education in between all that. So let's get started with introducing the three tiles with me tonight. We have Sir Lucious. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm good. Season 2, episode 2. Let's roll, baby.
Right?
Let's rock.
Aren't we supposed to do something with twos and twos besides Chuck Woolery?
We did.
Clyde, how are you this evening, sir?
Confused, but we gonna get it on.
Last but not least, we have Dirk Mannix.
What's good, good people?
I just got that. That's horrible. Sorry. That's horrible. Golly. Anyways, all right. The wheel's going to keep spinning, and we are going to begin this lovely evening with some Track is Back. And ooh-wee, was it ever this weekend? Who'd like to get this ball rolling?
Since we've been talking numbers, just go 1072. Yeah, and so based on that, I happened to see and then hear about some comments in regards to the 1072. People discussing her technical model and what she needs to do. And I just need to say to those people, when you coach somebody that's run 1072, that I will allow you to make said comment. But since you never coached 1072, please leave that girl and her coach alone. Phenomenal performance, phenomenal effort to open up that fast. I was there. And if you saw her warm up, you'd have thought she was going to run 10.6 because it was absolutely brilliant. The warm up was better than the race.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, Sir Lucius, I'm pretty sure that, that the coach in question has coached 1072. The only problem is that person was a male.
Yes. That's probably the problem.
So that's probably the problem,
Yeah, I mean, and this is an age-old issue. We've talked about this, the internet coaches and what people need to do and how they need to do, and it's just needs to stop. If you want to have a private conversation with you and your homies, go ahead. But it's just enough of the bashing people when you've never coached somebody that comes close to running that fast. So.
I think I think we all will stand and applaud that sentiment. There's so many things, so many angles to take on this particular performance by Miss Richardson. And first, let's just all stand and applaud the performance for what it was. Phenomenal. The aftermath of the performance has allowed for every ridiculous side of the spectrum to be thrown out into the ether. You got people talking about the track isn't accurate, like it's short, even though, they've had IAAF certified competitions on that track, though you forget. I got people talking about the wind may not be real. You got people talking about, being extremely sinister about the young lady, about her coach. And then you got people claiming she's going to run 10.3 and break the world record. Like there is no level of ridiculousness and hyperbole that has not followed that performance. So for me, I'm like, let's appreciate it for what it is in the moment and be awed by it because it's worthy of that. Here's what we know. That field in the final was filled with 8 women who have Olympic aspirations, be it in their country or in others. And 7 of them got utterly destroyed. So if nothing else, Sha'Carri, put her flag in the ground and put everybody on notice. Now, I do find it interesting though. Like, we've seen awe-inspiring openers in very recent past, and a lot of credible people had a whole lot to say about those performances, good and bad. So I'm like, you got to kind of keep that same energy, right? Like when at Mount Sac 2 years ago, when Michael Norman opened the season in 43 low, everybody jumped, a whole bunch of people, not everybody, but a whole bunch of people were like, that's a ridiculous thing to do. They've got the training all wrong. It's way too early to run something like that. I don't particularly subscribe to, that type of criticism, but I don't really have a problem with legitimate coaches saying that about opening the season in 10-7. I think that's a fair conversation for people to have. The stuff about the track being short, that's all ridiculous. But there are, some interesting debates to be had around the timing of how all that went down, no?
One of my favorite things to watch happen every year, like literally it's like my sit back and eat popcorn moment, is the incredible opener and all the debate that comes about it. Because let's just be honest, it happens every year, right? It's like literally every year somebody drops a ridiculous time. Look, Fred Curley's opener this year indoors in the quarter.
Sure.
Right? And the reason it's my favorite thing is because all of the speculation and nonsense that comes behind it just makes me laugh. When the truth of the matter is, the best coaches on the planet will get their athletes prepared to open, and they have no idea what's going to happen, because you just don't know what first meet stimuli is going to do for a well-prepared athlete. Sometimes it's too much sauce and it just goes awry and everything is bad. Like, I think we've all seen that, right? Where like everything in training says that, athlete X is going to run somewhere between 10-2 and 10-1 as an opener, right? And then they run 10-4. And you know why immediately, because it was like, they knew they were going to run fast. They went out and tried to run fast, and it was just way too much sauce. And then there's the other side where it's like, everything looks good in training. I think they're going to run well, but I'm not 100% sure like where we're going to open up, but you know what, we'll see. And then it's something like way outside the realm of normalcy, right? Because that athlete's stimuli was like all positive, and I haven't run a meet in a while and training's been going good. I'm just going to go bust. And so I always think it's funny, right? Because I'm not going to ever say that openers don't mean anything. They mean a lot. But really and truly, what they are is an opener to your season, no matter how good or bad it is. Like, that's what it is, right? Unless you open in the Olympic final, like it's an opener. It's the beginning. And you have to build the season behind it, good, bad, or indifferent. And so I like literally like one of my favorite things to kind of personally chuckle at is the ridiculous hyperbole that goes behind whoever had the hottest opening mark and all of the nonsense. Well, there's that camp that believes somehow that your season is supposed to be scripted, where, you open up at 10:08, then you run 10 flat, then you run 9:9, then you run 9:8 in the prelims of the trial. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the people who think the track is linear, those people make me laugh, because like literally no track career has ever been linear. The ones that go the other way with linear, so like no matter what your opener is, the whole point is you're going to do this and do this and do this and do this. So it's like when Michael Norman, I remember this like it was yesterday, Michael Norman opened up at 43 seconds. Like, the immediate talk was, well, clearly he's going to run 42. And I was like, because he opened at 43, like A does not begat B in any way, shape, or form. Sha'Carri Richardson could run 10:40 something. She could also run 11:15 when it matters, right? Because at the end of the day, there is time and opportunity, both good and bad, between now and the trials, and between the trials and the games. So at the end of the day, my cautionary tale to all, although I really want y'all to keep doing it because it's the greatest popcorn moment for me, is just relax. Enjoy the opening marks and revel in the fact that, like the name of this segment, track is back. That's it. That's all it means. But if y'all want to keep like going crazy and predicting world records after week 1, like please go ahead, because I enjoy it personally.
Well, you're right. Man X, I guess that's how we're referring to this evening. Like seriously though, because when Norman did that at Mount Sac, there were two main arguments. The world record is gone, and him and his crew are idiots. Those were the two. And I'm like, really? Like, how are we on? How was that? Like, how was that the issue? Like, exactly. Just chill. Let's see what happens next.
Record predicting in track and field is one of my favorite things to laugh at. Like, because so-and-so did this, they're going to do this. Because so-and-so did this year, next year, they're going to do this. Those are like my favorite things to laugh at. Our sport is 1 week, 1 month, 1 cycle, 1 year at a time. That's it.
Well,
You know, our man George Williams says it best. You can't know the play if you're not in the huddle.
Yes.
And
yes, George.
Not in that huddle. So like you have no idea what's going on. So again, I just think you go back, you enjoy the performance. And you know me, she's my medal pick, so I'm good. I'm loving it, every second of it.
Well, you went through this indoors. Grant opened in a.
I mean, did we maybe go through it this weekend as well?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody asked me, is like, did you want him to run that fast? I didn't like write on a piece of paper and say 13:04. No, I didn't do that. You know, like I just want him to execute. You know, and the phenomenal thing about track and field is when you execute at a high level, fast times come, far jumps come, you know, big throws come. You know, it's what track and field is. And so again, you just teach them to execute. And clearly Sha'Carri can hold her technical model. She's gonna be dangerous, very dangerous. But there's some other very good performances. There was a Kenny Harrison sighting. Yeah. You know, and then the Ophelia sisters, who are both married now, I think it's Semper and Porter, were like 12:50 something right behind her. You know, so very, very good event there. You know, the women's 400, my flower child just continues to get better and better. You know, she doesn't wear it anymore. You know, but wow.
What's your 49.90 something?
91, yeah. Shamir Little, for those of us who know who the flower child is. So.
I was gonna say.
She's flower child 2.0, because after Alicia Johnson retired.
And even the better story might have been second place, right? You know, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on her name right now, but she was the USA champion in 2018, I believe. No, it was 2017. 2017.
Oh,
she was D2 national champ, right?
You're speaking about Quinier Hayes.
Quinier Hayes.
Q.
Yes.
And honestly, in if you saw Shamir at the end of indoor, I don't think anybody's surprised that Shamir steps outside and runs 49. The more impressive story in that race, I agree, was Quinier Hayes. Q, listen, you know, I've been a fan of Q for a long time. You know, D2, what's up? It's great to see her back, or at least on the path to being back. And the women's 400 in this country could not be more wide open and waiting for people to walk through the door. You know, obviously Shamir is a 400 hurdler by trade, but every time she steps out and runs one of these, I'm sitting there like, is that really what's gonna happen though? So
yeah, I think we're all excited to see her run a hurdle race. And
Yeah.
Shout out to Quinera and her coach Derek White, because after doing so well in 2017, being the USA champion and lead off the gold medal winning 4x4, she kind of disappeared. And she was very, very competitive in some 3s and 2s stuff indoors. And clearly she is on the right path to getting back to where she was and beyond. So shout out to her and her coach Derek White on that one.
I mean, we're focused on the Miramar meet right now, and there's plenty other things from that meet, and we should throw them out. Like for me, Kenny Selman stepped out and ran 48.8. I thought that was really well done.
That's the second time he's done that.
I thought that was really well done. And
anybody that knows Kenny has always been one of the most consistent hurdlers out there, and he's the silent assassin. He never says a word, just shows up and does his work and goes back home.
And he hasn't got the shine that his potential deserves, purely because of the timing in which he was a senior in the NCAA.
Right.
Like any other year, he's the conversation. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, did you see that kid?" Because he ran a phenomenal race in the NCAA finals. Just so happened, the other guy was out there. So it's
and the year before he was with Fletch and Rod.
Right.
And then the year before that, so he just can't. There's that bad birthday thing again.
Bad birthdays.
Hey, Justin Gatlin broke 10 seconds again, folks.
Yes, he did. Wasn't there some specific age distinction about that performance? Like, didn't he
Yeah, it's
like seriously.
And again, it's like being there, watching him. The man just knows how to get ready for a race. And if Justin's opening up like that, I'm not predicting he's going to break the world record. Justin's a factor. He's a factor because he knows how to do it.
Of course, it's been interesting to me. We all have our private conversational groups. We have our internet chats. We got our DMs that we all converse in. I've been asking, everybody's forgetting about Justin. Like all of a sudden, did Justin become irrelevant or something? Like last I checked, he's always on the team. He's always in the final. He's always getting a medal. And it's like, it's kind of like Brady, right? Where everybody's waiting on Justin to just not be relevant. And there's no evidence to suggest that he's not. So
none whatsoever.
And
and I don't care if it was a hurricane behind him, Mr. Ben Derrick is the real deal.
Hey, 1965
absolute real deal. I mean, that was phenomenal performance.
I'm so glad you mentioned him, because Kenny is one of those guys, man, that you look at with trained eyes and you say, when it all works right, I'm never going to be the disrespectful guy who's like, well, when him and his coach figure it out. That's not what I'm saying. But when it all works right, however it works out, that guy's going to run really fast. And I think we all agree with that.
Sure.
And I don't know that it's the 2 over the 4 or the 4 over the 2. I know it's probably not both simultaneously, just because the world has proven how hard that is.
Well, I think it's clear it's a 2 over the 4 because he hasn't run a 4. When was the last time he ran a 4?
JUCO Nationals, maybe?
Exactly.
Is that really his last one?
I think so. Oh, no, you know what? He ran a small one overseas somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he ran in one of those.
Yeah. Okay, so he's run 400 and about 12 200. So I'm gonna rock with the 200.
But okay, and if we're talking about the 200, listen, I'm a nerd, right? The women's 200 meter race in Miramar was really interesting to me.
It was.
Okay. Elaine Thompson, defending champ, right? She finished 4th. Candace Hill beat her. Welcome back.
Yeah,
Candace
see, there's
Hill.
the story of the 200 right there. You just stop the presses right there.
Welcome back, Candace Hill. I mean,
Candace Hill. She looked good doing it. So shout out to her and my girl Smitty G. Because she looked good.
There were a lot of people, when Brittany Brown came away from Doha with her medal, A lot of people called it a fluke. A lot of people said it's because people weren't running. A lot of people said she needed to change coaches, blah, blah, blah. Seems fine to me.
Yeah, let's get a medal and change a coach. That's a great idea.
Hey, people were saying, they were, you heard it.
Yeah.
She looked really good.
Actually, I didn't hear that one. That's why I was so surprised when you said.
Oh no, people were saying that, like, she needs to go pro and go get a pro coach and do all that.
Yeah,
well, she was already
heard
pro
that.
when she got the medal.
Hey,
and she got the medal, in my opinion, because she stayed with her coach, who knows her. He built that machine, so and she looks good. I mean, you watch the race, yeah.
And then of course Prandini won it, 22-2, slightly windy, but it was a great race.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was a very interesting race.
Yeah. And then Justin Robinson just kind of toyed with the 400 field. Yeah, he just kind of sat on him and outran him at the end. He was very impressive.
Now his whole situation is interesting. I don't know the details, but does anybody know the details?
Ain't nobody talking about the details. How about that?
All right.
I mean, details are he ran 45-23 and looked good doing it. Those are my details.
I mean,
are we? So look, I'm gonna be coy tonight, and I'm gonna be pseudo petty. So I'm gonna engage Sir Lucious. Did you have a 110 hurdler run this weekend?
Yeah, I had 3 of them actually.
Yeah. So tell the world what grade you gave the winner of the 110 hurdle race for his race this weekend.
C.
And his winning time was
13:04.
I just wanted the world to hear that. No, I listen. I just wanted the world to hear that because I know you, and I know the C was earned, in your opinion.
Yeah, it was. It was a hard C too. No, nothing soft about that. Not backing off of that at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of Grant. He ran a good race. It was solid. But we made some technical errors and he cleaned up some things that we've been working on at the end. But, to kind of put our business in the street, I was like, you can't be the world indoor record holder and have your first 5 hurdles be that crappy. That just can't be a thing. Because clearly, if you're the best guy to ever do it for the 5 hurdles, you should know how to run the first 5 hurdles. And that was the worst part of his race. Yeah. So,
I mean, that seems like a reasonable request.
I mean, exactly. It does seem reasonable.
And to his credit, he goes, like, Coach, you kind of got a point. I kind of got a point, yeah. But but again, it just goes back to what we talked about execution, and it's not about looking at the clock. I would venture to say that if you talk to Dennis about Sha'Carri, you talk to Edric, and I talked a little bit about Prandini, and he saw some things she could get better. He definitely saw some things with Kenny. He felt like she can do better. Those of us who know Chris Johnson, we know he saw something, right? as far as Shamir goes. So I think at the end of the day, it's an opener. Now let's go back and let's get better. Let's get better.
And for me, as a hurdle nerd, the story coming out of our last NCAA championships as it pertains to this race was, oh my God, Grant got the record, right? Went sub 13. But the combo was, but how close was he to losing it to Daniel Roberts? And then it was like, we're going to have this battle moving forward. It's going to be them two back and forth. And since that time, to Grant's credit, he got the medal, got the indoor world record. And in this particular race, which was the first time we've got to see them go head-to-head outdoors in a really long time, that wasn't really a close battle. So, from an American standpoint, it's like there's Grant, and then who are the other 2 people that are going to step up and fill these voids? Because the men's hurdles has been all over the place for a while. And we all know Daniel can roll. And, I would consider Daniel, somebody who should be challenging for medal contention, assuming he's on the team. And so, that was a race I was like hyped to watch. And I thought it played out very interestingly.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody that knows Daniel knows his coach, Tim Hall, that will get better. Sure. And anybody that knows Grant and his coach knows that we better get better. So
now, can we? Because there were other meets going on this weekend, right?
Yeah, there was a Jasmine Camacho Quinn sighting.
Damn it! You beat me to it.
Listen, yeah, you lobbed it up there for me, buddy.
Listen, if you haven't seen the video, because the time is nice, like the time is very, very nice. Let me make sure I get the wind correct. But so Jasmine Camacho Quinn ran 12:47 with a 2.1 wind. So just slightly illegal. But I don't care about the time. You got to see the video. That is the most chilled 12:4 I've ever seen in my life. Like, it almost looked like she wasn't trying to run fast. And if you watch Quinn hurdle over the years, it's different. Like the way she ran that is very, very different. And that was very intriguing. She looks really good, really, really good. And, that was down there in Gamecock land in Columbia, South Carolina. One of the better tracks in the country. She looked really, really good. I don't even know who she's currently working with, but she looked phenomenal.
Her running workout she does with Gary Evans.
Okay.
Who's also the coach of I think my gold medal favorite in the 400, Stevie Gardner.
Yeah.
And I like to laugh, slid that in there. And I don't know who she does her hurdles with, but I know she has a hurdle coach as well. So whoever he is, and along with Gary, Gary told me his design. That's why she did nothing but sprint last year, was to get her to lean her out and get her very fast, and then have the hurdle coach improve her technical model. And clearly, it's working.
Yeah,
that's what it's working. They've done a phenomenal job. Yeah.
And from that same meet, I don't know who this young lady is, so I'm gonna shout her out because I was very impressed by the mark on the board, and the video looked pretty good. Melissa Jefferson of Coastal Carolina ran a win legal 11:27. I don't know who that is, but that's a great time for this early in the year.
Yeah, we're about to find out who she is, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly.
As a matter of fact, I think they're coming to Gainesville this weekend, so I get to see her firsthand.
Well, there you go. You can deliver us the reports.
Yes, I will. I have my marching orders, sir.
Any other standout marks that we want to make sure get noticed?
Well, I think, absolutely. Anna Hall scored with 61 or 62 something this weekend.
Yeah.
And the help.
Yeah.
Like it had to run under 2:11 to do it, and just went out on a mission on the 800. There was Jasmine Moore is wide awake. 22-3 and 46-3 or something like that. Like, yeah, she's awake. Clearly she likes outdoors better than indoors. So that was a great performance. I think Mr. Bowling jumped over 26 feet again.
Missed the board. Totally missed the board completely.
Totally did not hit white.
Not one part of his foot on the board.
Yeah.
And then they had
what about the young lady from Texas Tech?
Oh yeah, I thank you so much. Like 47.6 or whatever, 47.7, something retarded.
That's right.
14:50, is that right?
Yeah.
That'll do. That will play.
Hey, that'll hold.
I'm sorry, Big League. What were you saying? I didn't mean to talk over you.
The Georgia decathlete also just took he took over
world lead.
I can't remember. I'll look it up. But I just saw it. Yeah. So I mean, Georgia had a weekend.
14:50 for those who like don't really understand the women's triple jump. Like 1450 for a collegiate female is the kind of far that I think a lot of jumps coaches thought might like, you know, that's Katura orgy, and like you figure nobody else is going there, you know, that kind of deal. And it is very clear that not only are others, because let's be clear, Jasmine Moore she's incredibly talented. And so not only are others going out there, I think they are undaunted by how far 1450 is. And I don't know that any of the collegians are necessarily going after 15 meters, but here's what I do know. I do know both of those young ladies and their coaches, and they definitely feel like it's possible for them.
Well, you know what? It's we've talked about this in other contexts before, right? Like once athlete X puts a mark out there or a record out there that nobody really thought was doable, then it's like, hold on. Well, if he or she did it, why not me? Like, why am I not up next? And Katura destroyed what the previous record was, and now in very short order, we got people coming right behind her, looking like they can challenge it. And that's kind of the beauty of what we do as a sport, right? Like
these kind of things, just you take the cap off, you take the allure off. I was like, hey, that can be done. You know, yeah, but there was a nice smooth 10 flat. There was a 3.0 win from Joseph Amoa from Coppin State, and maybe the performance of the weekend was one Mr. Johnny Blockberger from from Arizona at 44.71.
Yeah. Shout out to his dad, former decathlete.
Yeah.
44.71. I tell you, every time somebody great in the United States retires or leaves the sport, somebody is dumb enough to say, oh, well, the US is in trouble. Have y'all ever noticed that? Yeah. And it is one of the things that makes me laugh the hardest, because if you really chart this stuff and pay attention, because I'm a nerd, when we are our best is when the big oak retires or leaves the sport or gets pregnant for a year or whatever it is, right? Because, no, I'm saying like we've had all those things, right? Where somebody dominant has done those things. And that year, every time, now all the little saplings can get sunshine and they all go crazy. Like every single time. Every single time.
Yeah.
So I'm here for it. You know, I am absolutely here for it. We're going to get a new set of household names in 2021. You can count on that.
Yeah. I think Mr. Washington threw pretty well in the discus this weekend too, didn't like 211 or something like that.
I mean,
and then the other thing is, and I'm not sure, somebody just mentioned this to me today in passing, that our man KC turned pro from Baylor.
Oh, Lightfoot, did he?
Yeah. Somebody mentioned that
to
me in passing.
That happened.
I mean, I can't really blame him. You know, I can't really blame him. But
not sure if that's true or not. I'm asking the question if you guys heard the same, because somebody mentioned to me at the practice today. So
I haven't heard it, but I mean, obviously I would not produce the shock face over it.
I don't see anything yet.
The funny part is like all the things that have happened, right? I think every one of us.
You're right. Nope, he did.
Oh, yeah. So Lightfoot turned pro. Who did he sign with, Chu?
Skechers. Let's get it. Changing the game with comfortable shoes.
Wow. Wow.
That would be so dope. If they made some Skechers pole vault shoes, I would die laughing. Oh, sorry.
I don't, reading it very quickly, I don't see anything about it. This is his own personal statement via Twitter.
Okay. Well, so then rumor confirmed.
Yeah.
See, breaking news right here, folks.
Congratulations, Mr. Lightfoot.
Yeah.
I just think what I was going to say is I think every one of us in the back of our minds, we've seen all these great things happen. And, it's, of course, track never, ever disappoints. But I think we're all still waiting for, like, what is a thing Mo going to do?
Oh, listen, there's a handful of people who quietly haven't really opened their season yet.
Mr. Bowling?
Maybe they've run some relays, maybe they've done some alternative events, but and honestly, it's part of the intrigue of just how this very strange and atypical season is playing out, right? A lot of people's schedules are all over the place. People are trying to time out their performances. And if you have somebody like Miss Mo, who as long as she stays on her feet, is going to qualify whenever she steps out there, you can strategically play it out. So it's really intriguing. That's why we're having the Track is Back segment every week, because every week there's somebody new that didn't run that's stepping out and doing something.
The decathlon mark, though I was speaking of Krill Tilga, if I said that wrong, I apologize, just took the number 2 mark, collegiate, with 84.84. So now he's just behind Lyndon, and he's surpassed Trey Hardy. So
84.84 in a qualifier.
I mean, okay. So to the point, right? If you want to focus on NCAA stuff, just a quick look at it. Right now, in a normal calendar year, we would all be approaching, we had Texas Relays weekend, we had Florida Relays weekend. We would be approaching Mount Sac Relays weekend, right? Mount Sac's not happening this year. We got some other meets going on out west. But as it stands today, in the men's 200, there is 1981 on the board, 2010 on the board, 2025 on the board, and 2028 pre-Mount Sac Relays weekend has you in 4th place. And the indoor champion hasn't run the event yet. In the 400, 44.6, 44.7, 44.7, 44.8. And some finalists from the indoor meet haven't run yet. Like, it's nutty right now. It's nutty all over.
By the time people start watching this on Friday night, Mr. Bowling will be opening up his season here in Gainesville within an hour or so after the show comes on. So if you're watching this, go to halfmiletiming.com and look up the results, because he is opening up this weekend.
I mean, there's more big meets this week. You got Tom Jones on the East Coast, and then on the West Coast, in lieu of Mount Sac not being on the board this year for the collegiates, there's a really interesting, I'm going to call it an experiment. I think it's dope. The West Coast Classic in Arizona, at the University of Arizona, it's a sprint jump meet. So all the sprinters and all the jumpers are going to be there. All the throwers and distance runners are going to be in Eugene. Same meet, hosted in 2 different locations, specifically set up for the people who are doing those particular events. I got to imagine it's going to be on fire, because on the West Coast, this is the weekend where everybody attempts to try to run hot.
And it will happen, especially in those 2 spots.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
So have your paper ready, have your pen ready, and just start writing down everything that happens.
It's going to be a hot weekend, folks.
Next week's Track is Back segment, I'm just going to say, everything happened.
And really looking at these NCAA marks, man, like, okay, in the women's hurdles, again, it's halfway through the season.
No, it's not even halfway.
Not even half. 1270, 1285, 1289, 1291, and that's only by 2 schools. That's LSU 1-2 and USC 3-4. Like, it's crazy right now.
Man, oh
Yep.
man. Anything else we'd like to highlight before we move on? I mean, that was a lot. So
I mean, we could do this all night.
I know, right? All right. Well, as we always encourage our viewers and those who are fans of the show to send us some questions, I actually got one straight to my inbox. So thank you for sending in your questions. Please continue to do so. Feel free to forward them to any of us, any of the tiles on your screen. It doesn't have to be me, but if it does happen to, you can try to get us on our social medias or Google our email addresses, because we're all on a website somewhere. So, but the question was, when was a time as a coach you knew you did something wrong? How did you handle it?
Pick a day, man. Come on.
I'll go first. And to Lucious's point, I'm sorry, Sir Lucious's point. Yeah, it's pick a day. Like you make, if you're trying to be great, you're going to make mistakes. And if you're one of those people who says you don't make mistakes, you have made mistakes, A, you're a liar. B, you're just not even remotely attempting to be great. So I'll say from my perspective, I learned very, very early in my coaching career, the first thing you have to do is be transparent and own it. My first year of coaching college track, I was still very much competing. And I think I've talked about this a couple of times, but I'm not sure how that first group of kids is still alive, let alone had track careers, because I was trying to kill them every day and then revive them and kill them some more. So, I had a mentor, I still have this mentor, who said, this is really simple. It's way simpler than you make it. When you send kids to a track meet, if one kid runs bad or two kids run bad, it's probably on the kid. But if most of your group, if more than 50% of your group underachieved to what you expected, you mess that up. And you have to own that and be honest with them so that you can all get better together. And I won't lie, the first time I did that, I was deathly afraid that if I told them I made a mistake, they would never trust me. And the truth of the matter is, the response was perfect. It's like, Coach, look, it is what it is. We got you. As long as we know you're trying to get better and trying to get us better, everything is Gucci. And they were young, I was young, but what I learned in that really, really quick snippet is that honesty and transparency is the best thing you can ever have in somebody's career. And so I don't want to take up all the time, but I'll just say, I think the most important thing to do, and the thing that I did, and I learned very early in my career, is when you make a mistake, like own it. Own it, talk about it so you can all get better and not make that mistake again. You're going to make other ones. But, I'm a firm believer in making as many different mistakes as humanly possible. Don't make the same one over and over again, because that's just dumb.
That's a choice.
I will 100% agree and echo those sentiments. The best way as a coach to handle one of your mistakes is to own it publicly with your crew. Because if you don't, you try to dance around it, you try to rationalize it around it, kids are pretty smart, and they're going to see that you can't own it, and they're going to lose respect for you. You get a lot further with them if you make a mistake. Hold yourself to the same standard that you expect from them when they make a mistake. So I think we all would agree with what the dark man said there. For the record, I know on the screen, y'all can't see the names. I'm not being funny about his skin tone. He named himself Dark Man X today. So I want to be clear about that. All right. But no, I'm gonna use a more recent one of mine, because get it right, we all make mistakes every single season. sometimes as a coach, you have a vision for the way a group or the way a team is supposed to perform or supposed to get to where you want to get it. And sometimes you got to stop beating your head against the wall and let them find their own path. And so for me, you know, when you're a sprint coach, you sometimes will run into a group or a majority of your group who has no interest in running the 4x4. Just kind of the attitude of some sprinters. And it's a thing that you got to find a way to navigate around. And sometimes instead of, you know, knowing who the best people are and you know, trying to go back and forth with them, sometimes you just got to step back and be like, you know what? Send me 4 people that want to run. Y'all work it out. And that sometimes goes a hell of a lot longer and gets a lot more productive than you sitting up there as a coach, looking at your notes or looking at your talent or looking at your TFERS list and making an evaluation that way. Sometimes you just need to open the door to 4 people who really want to get out there and compete, and you'd be surprised at how much better the effort gets and how much better the performances get. And you might learn a little something that you needed to know about people on your team. So sometimes, you know, step back and give the kids, you know, some freedom, give them some opportunity to make their own decisions, and you might just learn something.
You know, we make mistakes every day. And I think the thing that you have to do as a coach, if you want to be successful, is you have to recognize your mistakes and correct them. You have to, the coach that always troubles me is the one who thinks that his athletes are always well prepared and he never makes a mistake and his athletes always get it done, because that's just not true. And the coach that if the athlete run bad, it's always the athlete's fault. As a coach, if an athlete runs bad, the first thing I tell them, that's on me. I got to coach you better. I got to find a way to make that work. I got to find a way to make that click, because clearly if I'd done my job correctly, then we wouldn't be where we are right now. So we go back and we try to figure it out. I don't think there's ever been a time when I just walked away going, you know, that kid can't get better. That kid can't do better. And because the moment you do that, you've quit on the athlete, and they have no shot to get better, because you're supposed to be their leader. You're supposed to be the person that's, you know, taking them down the correct path. So I think that for me, I make mistakes every day. You know, mistakes in judgment, mistakes in, you know, volume, mistakes in whatever. But the other thing is too, sometimes in the middle of work, I'm like, oh, that's enough, you know? So then you avert a mistake, right? You go, hey, yeah, we were going to do two 150s. That first one was mighty fast, so I'll see you tomorrow, you know? Versus the guy that says, well, you just ran a half-second PR in your 150. Let's try to do another one and go even faster. You know, don't create that disaster. Don't be greedy. So in answer to your question, young man or young lady, I'm not sure, let me not be, whoever asked the question, we all make mistakes. And the best way to clean up the mistake, as my 2 esteemed colleagues said, is to own it up. You know, don't blame the athlete. Don't think the athlete, you know, is being soft because they can't finish something you asked them to do. You look to see it first if you've asked them to do too much. You know, maybe start with yourself before you start criticizing other people.
Can we take a pause to put some extra emphasis on what Sir Lucious just said there? Because I think everybody has encountered a moment like this in training and made one decision or the other. If you see something in practice and your spidey sense or whatever is like, oh, wow, that was phenomenal. Much better to shut it down than to want to see it again. Just, you can't get them hurt.
No question.
You can't get them hurt if you send them home.
Say it one more time. Say it one more time. Say it one more time.
You can't get them hurt if you send them home. I'm just saying, we've all had those moments. And when I was much younger in this business with my high school crew, I made the other decision. Hey, that was, oh my God, do it again. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh my God, get the trainer.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, sometimes you got to just sit back and be like, hey, we're good. It's good.
When they do something like that in practice, It is a precursor to a great movie later.
Yes. And that's the other thing too. If you watch your athlete do something phenomenal in practice on Tuesday, don't automatically think they're going to run fast on Friday or Saturday, because they may not have recovered from what they did that Tuesday. So don't make that mistake, because I know as a younger coach, I'm like, oh my God, 2 days ago. Well, they're still feeling 2 days ago.
Yep.
So, but yeah, we all make mistakes, and again, own them. And like someone said, talk about it publicly with your group. Let them know, hey, that was my fault. We're gonna work together. We're gonna fix this. I tell mine all the time. It won't be my fault again, because I'm gonna fix it. I promise you, I'm gonna fix it.
I mean, the biggest thing that develops, when we always talk about this, for young coaches, it develops it develops a group mentality of we and us and not I.
It also develops
Right.
a little word called, like these line called trust.
Absolutely.
Trust.
Absolutely. You can't trust a coach who's always talking about I and my. You can't trust them.
See, here's the word, the I word I use. I have not crossed the finish line in a long time. And you don't want me coaching crossing it anytime soon. So that's my I statement right there.
Well, and I think one thing I would say to that is that, you had made the mention of young coaches, but there is, to an extent, on the other side of the spectrum, when we get stuck in our ways and we don't see the mistake, we're not able to open up the vision to say, hey, that might have been a miscall, or I misfired on that one, whatever it is. So
let me interrupt you for 1 second, because
Yeah.
that's the key. That's the caveat right there. I think when you say we don't see the mistake, because they're not looking for it to be a mistake that they made. They're looking to place blame somewhere else. How about let's start by sharing the blame. You take the lion's share of it, right? That always works out a lot better.
Mhm.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but that was just
No, that's okay.
too easy of a segue into that.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thin line I'll end on this, the thin line between when you own the mistake is not to make it so it's actually passive aggressive and saying, well, it must have been me because it couldn't have been you. Right. And that you're deflecting then. So owning the mistake is actually accepting the responsibility and trying to move forward, not, well, I guess I just have to do better because you can't. And we see that thin line being crossed at times when there's a lack of maturity or a lack of ability to see the mistake itself, as opposed to just placing a blame. So Sam, thank you so much for your contribution. Hopefully you got the answer that you're looking for, and if not, let us know. We'll try to help you out. But yeah, that was great. And again, thank you for submitting that for us to go over. We're going to end questions or topics on a fun one. So all of the global cities that are out there, obviously we've got a round thing some like to argue flat, but thing out there that contains cities all around. Where of those cities, what is the next city? Which city would you like to see host the Olympics next? Or I guess cities, what area?
It's so cold in the D. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my Gina.
Can you imagine the Olympics in Detroit? Woo! Hello? I'll jump out there. They'd be entertaining, that's for sure. I would love to see the Olympics be in the Czech Republic. I would love to see the Olympics be in the Czech Republic. I know it's not a city. I'm not stupid, but I do understand that, folks. I just think that part of the country at that time of year, I mean, part of the country, that part of the world in that time of the year is just absolutely beautiful. It has great climates. And that region of the world has an incredible appreciation for the sport of athletics and for their place in global history. You know, Prague is one of the oldest cities like in the world. You know, and there's a lot of really, really dope stuff there. And the experience, like as a fan, obviously this is an assumption that we're not in a pandemic and wearing masks and all that, that we can all go, first of all. But I would love to see it wouldn't all be in Prague, which is why I said the Czech Republic, but the lion's share of it be in Prague and the neighboring, smaller cities and communities, because it's super easy to get to, and they would do an incredible job. And unlike what happens in most of the Olympics, if you built Olympic venues there, they would continue to be used by the country and the communities there. That's my pick.
I don't have anything quite that elegant to talk about. But, I mean, I'm looking forward to the games being in Paris. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I love Paris. I love the people. I love their enthusiasm. I think their enthusiasm for the championships, the Olympics, is going to be incredible. So hopefully by that time, we'll be back to some sense of normalcy. I hope so. And looking forward to Paris. I'll just leave it at that.
Now, this is Paris's third time, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't the premise?
I think this is Paris's third time hosting the Olympics.
The premise of
I wasn't aware of that, so I blew it. So,
well, no, just it's not in your lifetime. That's why.
Exactly.
Okay.
So don't pick at me, Sir Clyde, like, because you're way younger than I am. So
I mean, yes, but I knew I couldn't answer Paris because.
Why not? See, say Paris.
No, I can't, because that would be not answering the question.
I did answer the question. You asked me what I wanted to see it.
Well, that's for clear. Okay, so Chu, is it?
Oh no! You're right about the question. I just diverted the answer.
You just wanted that answer.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
So
he's like, damn all that. I want to see it in Paris.
I want to see it in Paris. That's all it is.
So
I was kind of chalk on that one, as y'all call it. So.
So going back to whatever show it was, we had a conversation about Olympic rotation. And I was very much on the page that the Olympics I have a problem with the rotation of the Olympics, but for the most part, it should stay America, real cities in Asia, like a Beijing or a Tokyo, and then in Europe. And since I think I really agree with Mr. X here about Prague, even though that was not on my mind, I'm not even going to go with the European answer. I'm going to go with an American answer. And given, the time of year that the games are typically, honestly, I think Chicago would do an amazing job. I wouldn't be mad at seeing an Olympics in Chicago. I think it'd be great. The Atlanta, LA's been done and it's going to be done again. Atlanta was dope. And, in my lifetime, and, I was young, but, everybody, had rave reviews about the Atlanta experience. There's not a bunch of places in the United States that I think would do well, but I absolutely believe Chicago and everything that engulfs the spirit and culture of that city, I think that would be dope to see, and I'd love to see.
It's funny that you bring up Chicago, because one of the things that I always think is important and maybe like I'm like an Olympic nerd, but like I think it's important that when the Olympics goes to a city, that there's cultural context to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Chicago would be a beautiful place to have the Olympics because it is the second greatest melting pot we have in this country behind New York, right? Like the countries that meld and the cultures that meld and exist on a daily basis in Chicago would truly embrace something as global and monumental as the Olympics. I'm not sure where some of these things would be competed, but the city itself, I'd be all for that.
Well, much like your Prague example, some things, some infrastructure would have to be built, but if you build it in Chicago, it will continue to be used. It wouldn't be wasteful building. So
I'm sure they could outsource a city somewhere. There's got to be a city close that could do something.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
stadiums, for soccer venues and stuff,
Yeah.
Sure.
Got it. Well, I like it. Those have been noted, listed, and whatnot. So, we'll just send that list to the IOC. It's all good. It'll be on the top of
their meeting with them next week, of course, for them to take all.
Well, so wait, real quick though. So like I jokingly was singing the song, right? But look, I've spent a great deal amount of my life in Oakland, and it's really funny. Oakland and Detroit are probably the two cities in this country that have the worst know-nothing opinions, right? If you just ask somebody who doesn't know anything actually at all about Detroit or actually about Oakland, they think, oh, it's so dangerous and why would you want to be there? And it's nothing but poverty. Listen to me and listen to me carefully. If the Olympics was ever in Detroit, they would be amazing.
Sure.
The Olympics in the city of Detroit would be amazing. And it would be the first Olympics where you could actually have venues in two different countries, because you could go right across the bridge into Windsor in Canada and host some of it.
Hey, listen,
it's like literally right across the bridge.
I could have took the easy route and said the Bay Area. It crossed my mind.
Sure.
But and it would be phenomenal. But I went Chicago. I think it'd be, for all the reasons. I like the Chicago idea. But don't get it twisted. The Bay can do it, and we would do it very well. Very well.
Yeah.
Oh, love it. All right. Well, switching gears, Sir Lucious, use your step stool. You don't have to use the step stool. I have to wake you up.
Step stool?
I think she just called you Lord Farquhar.
I think she just called me a midget or something.
See, if you were a Shrek guy, you would have got that. That was definitely Lord Farquhar was a midget. A little person. Right. I don't want to disrespect anybody with the verbiage.
I apologize as well.
Oh man. You need to stretch? Do you need to warm up?
No, I'm good.
Mock drills, you good? All right. All right. Are you limping or are you pimping?
Depends on the day and the moment. Most days I'm pimping, though. Most days I'm pimping.
How's your weave budget?
I know. I love it. Oh
my God. You don't get to ask questions till afterwards. So.
No, that was awesome. I'm sorry. I just had to stick that in there.
Okay. So knowing where your coaching house resides, do you actually drink Gatorade?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Got it.
Mike's favorite flavor.
Let's say that again.
Favorite. Mike's favorite flavor is my favorite flavor.
That's a thing?
Is it a thing?
Michael Jordan, yes.
Oh, I thought you were self-referencing. I was like, you have your own flavor?
Oh my
goodness. You are the king
goodness.
over there, so I will say. How many bowling balls do you currently own?
Oh, just 3. I gave a couple away.
Got it. Just
They,
3.
they just weren't working anymore. Not sure it was the ball or the guy behind the
Yeah,
ball. But
Mind you, people, these bowling balls are probably about 16 pounds if I guessed correctly. Yes. So this gentleman here is lugging 48 pounds to go bowling
every time.
plus shoes. Anyhow, which of the track meet meals do you look forward to?
Dinner.
Yeah, because that means it's done.
Yep.
Which of your colleagues do you enjoy listening to? Do you have a favorite colleague to listen to?
Favorite who?
Colleague. So is there another track coach who you enjoy just listening to talk? Whether it's
I apologize.
That's
Anderson.
okay.
Vince Anderson. I wasn't. I gotta turn my hearing aid up. Yeah. I mean, there's some entertaining people in my world. Vince Anderson and I have had some of the most interesting conversations ever, covering almost every spectrum in the warm-up area. And then as far as people that can have me almost in stitches laughing, Daryl Anderson, Edric Floriel, and then when Darkman was around, he was pretty entertaining as well. So.
Are you a cat or a dog lover?
Neither.
I had a feeling that was the answer, but I had to throw it out there anyway.
See, now if I gotta make a choice, it's a dog by far, but nothing to do with a cat. It has nothing to do with my nickname, so y'all let that go. Nope. Let it go before y'all even say it. Let it go. Cats are just too sneaky for me. I'm good. I've had dogs in my lifetime, and to be honest with you, I don't own a dog because I get too attached to them, and then when they pass away, it crushes me. So.
Oh. Oh, okay. Let's build that armor back up. When you ran, what were your favorite pair of spikes? Like, did you have a favorite pair of spikes? I guess.
Did he have spikes?
Oh, shot fired. Shot fired.
It was too easy. I'm sorry. It was right there. I mean, Jesus, it was right there.
and honestly, anybody that knows me knows I'm a Nike guy now, but back in the day, it was Adidas and Puma. And yes, I had spikes, young fella.
Oh man,
that was a good one though. That was too easy. Right?
That was. All right. Last question. During races, so as a coach watching your athletes run or the athletes that you coach run, where do you stand? Do you have a favorite point of view or perspective that you like?
I mean, it depends on the race. If it's a 400 hurdles, I like to be with 150 to go. If it's the hurdles or the 100, ideally, I would like to be on the other side of the track so I can watch them, from that. But that's hard to do at some track meets. And honestly, like in the bigger meets, I don't have a problem being in the back watching it on TV. Then I can do anywhere but yell. So halftime they don't hear me. So
it don't matter.
Hey, look, if the work's not done by then, if I send them to the line of a big meet and the work's not done, it's gonna show up. It's no matter how much yelling I do. So now I just like to find some place, like I don't like to be in a crowd when I'm watching. So you'll usually find me someplace where there's not a lot of people around to watch races.
Got it. Now everyone learned a little secret.
You know where to find me now.
Right. Well, thank you, Sir Lucious. That was your time on the hot seat, or in rapid fire, I should say. Thank you so much.
Speaking of insider secrets.
That's right. They both get a question now, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do we? I wasn't even going there, but okay, we'll come up with. I was just gonna say that one of the cooler things for me was to learn that at the big meets, Olympics, World Championships, U.S. Olympic trials, none of the coaches are in the stands. Everybody's in the back, in the warm-up area, watching and losing their minds on screens. We're watching it on TV. It's just the way it is. Like at NCs, maybe people are in this building, maybe they're not, but at the big pro scene, no one's in the stands. And it's one of the cooler things you'll ever experience if you belong in the back. to be there and watch how people move. It's very interesting.
It's what, just to piggyback on that really quick, the coolest part about that, right, is you get to watch the warm up, watch the parade out, like they disappear to go into the stadium, like with no coaches, right? And then eventually, because they don't go like leave the stadium and then they run immediately. So like they leave and then like 25 minutes later, they race. And then like 15 minutes later, they come back.
Yeah.
That whole process. And you obviously, it's one of those, like, you got to be in the know to know, like to your point, like only the people with credentials are back there to see all of this. But if you're ever back there, if you're a good enough coach to have somebody in the meet, that's what will make you be back there. But if you're ever back there, that's an experience that's like, it's one of those things, like when you're writing workouts, when you're coaching kids, when you're recruiting, you're trying to get back to there.
That's right.
Like that's what you're trying to get back to. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I'm glad that you brought that up. I thought that was kind of cool.
And
I have a
by the way, it will take years off your life for stress.
No, for sure, no question. And it is crazy that you watching your life's work happen on a big on a TV screen. But anyway, so I'm going to ask a half-heartedly joking but semi-serious question, Sir Lucious. I've made many jokes about you throwing stopwatches. For those young coaches out there, in your opinion, what is serious question? What is your stopwatch of choice? Not to throw, to use.
I don't know. Anyone that takes a good split, as long as I can read them back, I'm good. I don't like have a brand I use,
It's funny because I would have thought that you did. Like I'm an all track 440 guy, and I'll say I just don't know what to do without it. You're probably
right. I've got a drawer full of them, and I'm sure they're all the same brand. I just don't know what brand they are. because there's a specific one that I can get all of the splits off of. Like you got the ones that don't run in between all that stuff. Those are useless to me. Like I got to be able to get the split, but then also look to see where we are on the next split, that kind of deal. So that in particular watch, it's like the 460X or something. I don't know. It's black face and yellow, gold writing. That's all I know. And I got a drawer full of them.
Got it.
Broken and a light.
No, there's no broken. I mean that happened one time, and then it gets blown up as if it happens every time. It was a very stressful time in my life. It was very stressful time in my life.
It was just once.
It's just the one time. Never will happen again. Never.
Listen, right. God put that student athlete in your life for a reason. You got better. You got better in life as a person and a coach for coaching them. And I say that to every young coach out there. Don't run from coaching the truly challenging student athlete that you have.
Absolutely. Because
you are coaching that person for a reason.
They will make you better.
They will make you better.
Coach out there too, not just young coach. For every coach.
Yes. They will make you better. It's not supposed to be easy all the time.
All right, so I'm supposed to throw something at Sir Lucious, huh? All right,
a question, not something. A question.
It's gonna be. It's actually gonna be productive. I'm gonna be productive. In recent years, and most recently, the very recent past, we have had coaches, people that I would consider high-profile coaches, mic'd up at meets and mic'd up at practice. Most recently, yours. What do you feel is the value of the coaches doing the mic'd up segments, and should we see a lot more of that in the industry?
I absolutely think that the value is that people can see how much coaches enjoy what they do. People can see how much energy and time and passion we put into our athletes. I think the biggest value for me is like people can see like I love what I do, right? And I'm gonna pour my energy into your son or daughter every single day. And I think that we don't get enough credit as track for coaches. Like there's this belief that all we do is walk out there and say run in a circle and blow a whistle. I don't even know the whistle. I don't know anything about that, right? So I think that the value to doing stuff like that is showing people who we really are, and that there's an art to what we do. You spoke about the last little video they did on me, but in the video, obviously, there was a lot of times where I was clowning with my athletes, but that's in the effort to make them relax. But there was some very specific instruction going on in that video. And that's the daily life of a track and field coach. So I think that that's a great question, and I think that there's great value to that because it shows not just your colleagues and your fans, but it shows people that are uneducated what we really do, and that we're pretty darn good at it.
Well said, sir.
Well said.
And great question, by the way.
All right. Well, let's then transition on that good note, from that good note to another good note of heartbeat props. Giving some recognition to those who deserve it while they're still here and while they're able to hear it from us personally. I am going to go first. I'm going to steal that one real quick. And further the sentiment of Sir Lucious of what he was saying just a little bit ago. My heartbeat props go out to Vince Anderson. He's an amazing human being. Such an intellectual, but so much of an intellectual that it's like just common words. It's just a breeze of a conversation. I think our conversation this week was about 30 minutes. I think at the longest. I don't think it was even that long, but I literally grew a year in knowledge. And just him being so gratuitous with his knowledge and his ability to dissect things, but in simplistic ways, not just having this whole entire lecture that lasts 4 series at an hour and a half each. No, it was because he said he's 3 to 4 minutes. That's all I need of your time. And I was like, oh my God. That means I really have to be on my P's and Q's right now because I got to pay attention for 3 to 4 minutes. But thank you, sir, for who you are, what you do for the sport, what you do for humanity, and just loving what you do because it just pours out of your pores. It exudes out of you. So thank you so much, and keep doing it because I love it selfishly.
I want to jump in there. Mine's gonna be short and sweet. First off, none of these people watch the show, and I think 3 of them aren't even allowed to watch the show. But my heartbeat props tonight are to my kids. Now, listen, I'm one of those people that doesn't believe in words like step or foster or half or any of those things. If at any point in time I've been a father figure to you, you are one of my kids, whether I made you or not. And my heartbeat props goes out to them because a long time ago, if you know me, when my oldest was born, I had a shirt made, and I think Sir Lucious might actually remember this. I had a shirt made and I violated every single USOC and IOC rule and wore this shirt out on the World Championship dais to warm up for each one of my events, and it had a picture of my oldest, and it said "Why I Run," and nothing's changed. There'd be more kids in the picture, but at the end of the day, I try to work very, very hard at all things that I do, and the people on these tiles know that I definitely have several jobs. I try to make it such that I used to not have a very good work and life balance, and in striving to get to there, and finally, in my opinion, getting to there, I just try to make it such that when I leave my house to go do work, that it's worthwhile, because being away from the people whose lives I'm in some way, shape, or form in charge of has value. And it's given me an incredible amount of focus as it pertains to my jobs, right? When you leave the house, you better be working your butt off, because otherwise you should be at home. helping to make, a better young man or a better young lady. And basically, unbeknownst to them, they really and truly are the reason that I do just about everything that I do. I love my kids unequivocally. They drive me absolutely crazy, like nuts. All of them in their own ways, but I would take a whole host of bullets for all of them. So my very simple and heartfelt heartbeat props tonight go out to all of my kids.
All right, well said, sir. I'll go next because mine kind of ties into that by accident. We spend a lot of time criticizing and taking appropriate shots at the NCAA, but the NCAA did something good today. So my heartbeat props go out to the NCAA, who announced today that in June, they are finally going to allow us to return back to quote unquote normal recruiting, which I got to tell you, I'm kind of excited about, and will cause a whole lot of parents to be spending much less time at home, to Mr. X's point. But I think, honestly, the reason I'm excited about it, I love the face-to-face interactions and the building of relationships that goes on throughout the recruiting process. And I totally understand why it needed to get shut down because of COVID. Absolutely. But I'm also excited about the return of it because if nothing else, these kids who are currently, going through their processes and trying to find homes, they deserve it. They deserve to have those face-to-face conversations. They deserve the honor of having coaches come to their homes and sit in front of their parents and, share their stories and do the whole face-to-face thing. So yes, it's going to cause a lot of us to be away from our families a lot more, and that sucks. But it's another step on the way back to a normal life that we all, do miss. And so thank you to the NCAA for finally opening that door after months and months and months of pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. I'm sure the majority of my industry feels the way that I do. And thank you for that opportunity.
Well, I am going to give my heartbeat props tonight to a guy that's been a part of my life for a long time, and always been somebody that was supportive, always a guy that saw things in me that sometimes I didn't see in myself. And no matter what I accomplish, within minutes after something happens good for me in the sports, I can feel my phone buzzes and it's a nice little text message from him. And then within a few days, he usually calls me to congratulate me. I had the opportunity to actually see this gentleman this weekend down to meet in Miramar, and we get to chat for a few minutes. And as always, he was very complimentary, but at the same time, it's challenging and encouraging me to keep doing what I'm doing and keep waving the flag. And so my heartbeat props tonight go out to Mr. John Smith. Sometimes I forget just how eloquent he can be and how motivated he can be until I talk to him on the phone or until he grabs me and puts his arm around my neck and tells me how proud he is of me. And that was a really good, special moment for me this weekend. So, JS, I appreciate you, my man. I know you will not see this, but I'm sure somebody will tell you about it eventually. So.
Smitty, we got to get Smitty watching the show.
Oh, it's a fair possibility that JS will get to see the show, and props to the legend. Miss you.
I was gonna say we got to get Smitty watching the show, man.
Yeah,
we can get Smitty on the show, really.
I mean, yes.
You already saw he stole his thought.
and
yes.
Before we close, like we didn't talk about this before, so I'm going to apologize to you guys for not bringing it up. But I got a call last Friday night about the segment where we talked about the one section of the state of California not being able to go to the state meet. There is no California state meet this year at all.
That is new information because it was published that it was absolutely happening, and they even had dates.
This is a high school coach that said before the season started, they were told there's no state meet. So that's why there's no sectional and all that stuff. No state meet at all this year.
Tragic. Wrong.
Exactly.
On every level.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
You know what? I'm glad the show is at the end because I can't afford to have another candle. I can't afford to have another candle lit for me. Like, I've been fired up all day. I can't be fired up anymore.
All right.
We will open next show.
We'll help you with it. All right. Well, gentlemen,
I'm on the hot seat next week too. Oh, geez.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'm not. I don't know.
You are.
Well, gentlemen, thank you as always for your time, your mind, and your emotions, and your passion for everything that you do in life. So we'll wrap up this episode. We'll see you all again next week. And as Sir Lucious said, watch those results popping up because something's probably going to happen down in Florida this weekend. So have a great weekend. If you're traveling, be safe. If you're competing, throw far, jump far, high, and run fast. Bye, everyone.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot knife the butter. Truth pin them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place and we'll peel to go further. Hey, Wally, Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and failed and sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.